Hi Max, how you doing, man? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Just chilling outside. Thanks for having me, bro.
No worries at all, man. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is obviously your big thing coming up now. You're training for CJI 2 at the moment,
Yep.
but I think an interesting thing from your background specifically is obviously you're from Canada, and was it
Yes.
over in Canada that you first discovered jiu-jitsu back there?
Yeah, so basically, I think when I was like 15 or 16, I stopped playing football and I ended up trying out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at this place called um Tecumseh Jiu-Jitsu, right? Run by Eric Marantet. So I was with him for a long time. Actually, my coach now, Dante, he originally was at that gym when he was growing up in Canada. There's like a 12-year-old Dante on the wall. So that's cool. So we both kind of came from that gym. It's a nice gym. Like people are cool there. So I kind of got lucky in that respect because it's hard to find good gyms in Canada for sure.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing I was going to sort of talk to you about is how did you find that early sort of transition, that early period where you're like white belt, blue belt, there can't have been that many competitions around then in Canada, was there?
No, bro. Actually, at one point, I'm pretty positive at one point they made like competing in jujitsu illegal because they couldn't make a commission for it, if that makes sense. So basically, the government couldn't make money off it. So they're like, all right, can I swear?
Yeah, yeah, crack on.
Okay, yeah, but they're just like, fuck you guys, we're not making money. So we can't compete jujitsu. So like, I don't know. There's always kind of you'd have to be in the bigger cities like Toronto. Montreal's kind of always had a good scene just because it's a GSP, right? So kind of attracted people there for us a hobby and all that stuff. And they're kind of close to Henson's as well. So, but besides that, bro, you're in a barren wasteland. It's very hard to find gyms. It's getting better now, but coming up, dude, nothing, dude, absolutely nothing.
Did you used to have to travel to America to compete then when you were that sort of level?
Yeah, usually I'd be competing in like Detroit and Cleveland and stuff like this. But honestly, when I was up and coming, I didn't really start competing a lot till purple belt. I would get like too scared to compete like at white belt and blue belt. There were times I showed up when I was like 16 or 17 and it'd be like a 4 hour drive to Toronto to compete. And I'd tell my parents like, I want to go home. Like something would go wrong or like someone didn't show up for the bracket. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's just go home or fuck it. Like I was always too scared to compete when I was younger. Kind of like a weird thing.
How did you get over that then? Because I'm assuming it's not much of a problem anymore.
Honestly, I think, yeah, bro, I've had a lot of matches now, but, when I did my first MMA fight, after that, it was like, oh, okay. Like, like jiu-jitsu just felt like, it's more fun, honestly. There's less danger involved, so you don't have to get like, I would get so stressed out, but at least someone's not bashing my head in and giving me brain damage, bro, so that one kinda helped, and then in 2023 and 2024, I competed a lot, even in 2022. So doing like those hundreds of matches definitely just I don't know, just makes it so it is what it is, bro. Because you'll win in the best ways, and then the next week you can get submitted quite quickly or embarrassingly. So I never really at that point I was just like, okay, just don't attach how you feel to the competition at all because bro, one day everyone's loving you, one day no one will message you, and then since I had like a frequency of competing, it was crazy because like one week people would be like, "Oh, you're the best," and the next week, like week to week, it would just change and flip flop every time, bro. So I learned fast. It's like, oh, it don't matter.
That's a nice way to look at it as well. And I think that exposure, like just repeatedly doing it, it does make it seem sort of like another day at the office kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, dude. Especially if you get starched in like a couple cool ways, like, bro, you don't care anymore. Like I've been tapped in the craziest ways. Like I remember the who's number one. I got flying armbar. I'm like, oh, my career's over. And then I was able to beat Taza and win 10K like a month later. Or I remember like when I first moved here from America, my first worlds at brown belt, this guy, Kirk Brenneman, he's not competing as much anymore, but I wish this guy did. He was nasty, bro. Nasty guard. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he got nasty guard for real. He like Troy barred me in a minute. Like my first year moving there, like giving up everything, all this stuff. So, dude, so you lose in so many embarrassing ways. You just like literally it'd have to get pretty bad to get worse than those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you mentioned the MMA fight as well. I know you've had, did you have like 2 or 3 or something, like way back
Yeah,
in the
like
day?
two MMA fights and then a few kickboxing smokers. So just getting experience striking. It's honestly doing the kickboxing, the pure kickboxing was the scariest because it's like, dog, I can't even shoot. Like I can't even turn into a wrestler if things get scary, bro. You just kind of have to like stay on your feet. So those were much scarier, I would say.
So how come you put kickboxing and MMA to one side then to focus on jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I started Dante would come during the holidays and basically train at the gym in Canada. So start cross training with him. And I saw, bro, like, dude, we had no exposure to good jujitsu for real. Like, the most impressive thing for our school was like someone getting third at like Masters 3. That was like, that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So once I was exposed to high level jujitsu with Dante, at the time there was a bunch of good Brazilians there, bro. My game kind of skyrocketed and I was like winning a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. I was like, fucking A, I should just do jiu-jitsu because I see the way Dante's setting up is in a professional way. So I see like a path to make money here where I don't have to fuck my brain up because I really want to use my brain, bro. Like my body's gonna be messed up regardless when I'm old. So at least I can use my head, right?
Yeah. And when you talk about Dante sort of like setting that same sort of standard, he did the same sort of thing as you, I think, where you've competed in a load of different promotions, like different tournaments, like week to week kind of thing. Was that something you sort of took from him, like traveling so much to compete so often?
Yeah, I was trying to compete very often. Just I would just see the culture of that, like the up and comers in jujitsu, the culture of like the blue belts and the purple belts and even the brown belts. And then seeing guys like Dante, I would get exposed to like more high level guys, even high level guys at that rank at the purple and blue, like, and they'd be competing very often and getting so much experience. I'm like, oh, I'll just do what they're doing. But the thing that really switched it for where competed like for 2 years straight, dude, it was literally like every week I competed. I asked Dante and Brad Schneider, I was like, how many matches you guys like have in total, you think? And Brad was like, oh, I got like 400. And then Dante was like, oh yeah, I got something like 400, 500. And then he's like, that's not even counting my juvenile ones. I was like, what the fuck? And I was thinking, I'm like, I only got 100. So like I was thinking in my head, like, I think I only had it fought like 100 times. So basically I literally just like, all right, we gotta catch up here, boys. So I just went on a run and did a little marathon.
Yeah, and I mean, you did compete in so many different promotions in that kind of 2 year span, and I know you were winning titles in a bunch of different weight classes. I mean, I think from memory, you were doing lightweight, middleweight, welterweight, sort of bouncing up and down between them. Did you find that you had a specific weight class that suited you more, though?
Yeah, I'm definitely a 155er for sure, dude. But um I would find like the heavier I would go up in the weight classes, that matches would actually be easier until you get to the upper echelon of the guys. Like I would say like the top five in those weight classes of like 185 and above are pretty good. But brother, honestly, I think a lot of the big weight classes are bad. I say this all the time. People who know me, they're not very good, bro. If you look at 88, man, Chris Wojcik, in my opinion, he's like a 77er. Okay, he is a 77er. I trained with him back in the day. 100% he can make 77 with, I don't think, like a big issue at all. There's some guys at 77 who are even bigger than him, like PJ Barch and Jonatas. I know Taza even walks around pretty heavy. I mean, Davi Hamos, bro, these guys are huge. And it was just like, I just feel like Wojcik knew that his guard was nasty. He had really good leg locks. So like, it's easier to deal with those bigger guys. The lighter guys, their guards are ridiculous, man. So I found I had an easier time at the heavier weights, but I am a 155er for sure.
And then obviously for CJI, you've taken the 66 kilo spot, and I think that's the lightest you've ever competed, is it?
I fought one time, but this is when I was like 19 at MMA. I fought 145. So it's been yeah, it's been a cut, bro. It's been a cut for sure, but I'm feeling decent.
Did you take that weight class then because of Dante obviously taking the 77 weight class, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and I knew it was day before, and I was saying like I could definitely make the 66 day before. Like it's not gonna feel good, but I could easily make it, right? So Yeah, we just did that because if you have me at 66 who can deal with a lot of guys who are even bigger than me, in like 77, 88, and Dante there as well, who also has a lot of experience fighting bigger guys. I think it's a good 1-2 punch. And then you got Jacob Couch there, who's available to hunt for submissions for us as well. And then like two guys who are just hard to deal with in general, and Pixley and Brandon Reed. So I think if we play it intelligently, the mesh of our team is very good compared to some of the others.
That is something I do think is the case, where I think a lot of people in the build up to CJI 2 now, they're sort of really hyper focusing on like New Wave, B Team, Atos, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
you have set up the team, obviously not you personally, but Pedigo has set up the team so that you do really have, like you said, your lightest people have experience competing at the heaviest weight classes. Like Dante's one, was it ultra heavy at Worlds, I think it was?
It was
Pans,
the
sorry.
super heavy at Pans. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, you, like I said, you've gone up to 185 before, you know what I mean? You've both had
Yeah.
success at like higher weight classes, and not just, I think for
Yeah.
a lot of the 66 and 77 kilo guys, they'll be playing for draws a lot of the time. Whereas
Oh, yeah.
both you and Dante are pretty aggressive hunting for the finish as well.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I fought guys much bigger, like at American Nationals Absolute. I forget the guy's name, but he got third. The guy I beat on the way up there, he got third at Worlds at Ultra Heavy. I wish I could remembered his name. I just fought Garmo, a fight to win. Before that, I fought like a 275er, just some random black belt, but it was just a random super fight. And then just loads more. Those big guys, I think people will see actually. Like, you're gonna have to be really smart with your matchups. I wouldn't want a big guy going against another big guy, honestly, but just because I think the likelihood for them submitting each other is a lot higher. And I don't want to see like one of our big guys get taken out. Like if it's a bad style matchup, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, with these quintets, bro, you got to strategize. It's crazy. I did a couple of them leading up to this, and I was on stacked teams every time, to the point where people in the like leading up to the tournament, like, oh, that team's just gonna win. Like, this isn't pointless. Both times the team I was on in the finals, we ended up losing because, dude, these quintets, people are gonna game the rules. Like, you can't just, obviously you should be fighting for the submission, but if you're in the final, for example, and there's $1 million on the line, and you have, let's just do random. Let's say you have Pato versus freaking Felipe Pena, right? Even though they're on the same team. But like, I'm just like saying examples. All right, just imagine that though. Okay, Pato versus Victor Hugo, so it's not confusing. But anyways, why would Pato, let's say it was the last round of the final, open himself up and go for a crazy amount of subs against Victor Hugo? Let's say all he needed to do for the team is get a draw. Bro, that would be that'd be a great matchup, because Pato is going to retain his guard forever against all those big guys. They won't be able to pass him. I guarantee they won't be able to pass someone like that. Those bigger guys, like they won't be able to close the space enough because they're too big. If that's making sense, like it's so much harder for them to like lock body locks and get the underhooks and stuff like this on smaller guys. So you'll see like people gaming their rules like that, where they'll put like a smaller guy against a bigger guy to try to stall him out, or maybe try to get like maybe like a mid-sized guy to try to leg lock a smaller guy. It's going to be cool to see how it like ends up with the matchups, dude, for real.
So with your experience with the previous quintet events, then I think you did the Montreal quintet, didn't you?
Yeah, and Zapatero won, and then I did this one in Atlanta.
So what do you think is the most important sort of thing to focus on as a competitor on the team then, as one of the lighter ones, I should say?
I would say so. Like, as soon as you are going to decide who's you're sending out next, you might have a pretty good idea of who they're sending out. You can honestly even see by even looking over at the corner. Nobody's intentionally hiding it. Like, you see one dude's like fucking doing jumping jacks, and everyone else is sitting down. You're like, all right, he's going in. Obviously, hopefully they're not that obvious, but you got 90 seconds, I think, right? Or 60 seconds, something like this. You got to make a quick decision fast. And as soon as you know who's going out, maybe even give like tips. Like, if I knew, let's say I knew like, we had like a Pixley going against a Paul Ardilla type, I try to be like, all right, Paul Ardilla only, he enters from his right side only. If you just pass this way, right, you pass the opposite way the whole time, he won't enter your legs. you can stay on them that way, stay out of trouble. Like just being able to give quick tips based on the person's style, because these style matchups are going to be huge, man. There's going to be like submissions where people didn't expect it, and guys getting doing better when they didn't think they would be doing good. Just because if they get a certain style, they can kind of shine. Whereas usually, you know, you might have like a more difficult time really showing how good you are if you have like, or in a tournament setting and you're fighting all these guys in your weight class who are all good at the things that you do too. So you kind of get like almost stalemated. But if you're someone, let's say a leg locker going against maybe like a minus 99er who's terrible at leg locks, you could get a huge highlight. Oh, the 77 dude just leg locked the minus 99 guy. But we're going to see a lot of that, I think. I think you're really going to see how good the 77ers and 66s are for sure.
That's actually that's something that I think really shines with one guy at 66 kilos that does absolutes all the time. I've talked about him before, Fabricio Andre,
Yeah,
because he has like, I think, and when he fights at your weight class, 66, 77, obviously where a lot of his opponents are pulling guard or they're happy to take bottom position, he kind of doesn't get to work on his judo or his stand-up as much. Whereas if he fights someone like Pixley or Brandon Reed, he'll literally be able to do, obviously it's hard because they're much bigger than him, but he gets the opportunity to work that side of his game that really it does shine at that level, you know?
yeah, I agree. Someone like Fabricio, dude, his wrestling's good. And if he's fighting again, someone who has like a good style, like I remember, I forgot the guy who he just judo tossed. I think it was on BJJ Stars. But this guy, he's not he's not like a Pixley or Brandon Reed who has like a background of wrestling. He just has that pure jiu-jitsu background. And bro, their hand fighting's terrible. Their stances, they'll just come right in. The guy went in standing straight up with no grips, no head position. For someone like Fabricio at our weight class, you would get starched so fast if you ever did this. But again, these bigger guys, they can rely on their size to stay out of trouble, but not when you're against someone who has like the real knowledge behind it. But again, if I think Fabricio went against someone like Pixley or Brandon Reed and he tried to wrestle, that would be a bad decision on his part, just because those guys are experienced in their hand fighting and all this stuff. But if you had him wrestle against someone like Felipe Pena, I think he would do actually quite well, even though Felipe's much bigger, just because of the experience in the stand-up game, if this making sense.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right as well. Like, I think you saw that in Pixley versus Marigali at ADCC as well, where Marigali tried to stand with him, it wasn't a good idea.
Bro, he's wrestling up from guard. I was like, what's this guy doing? He just had to, he could have just gone to like De La Hiva, X guard entanglements, but I don't know. The ego was kicking in a little bit, bro. The guy made like a bunch of posts, be like, day one, all you guys fucking suck. I'm the best. I'm going to win double gold. Day two, I'm still sick. Fuck you guys. He did that for like 100 days. So I think when he was getting tossed with Uchimata, the ego kicked in. He wanted to prove that he could take him down, but just bad game plan, in my opinion.
And when you look at your specific game plan, then coming up to CJI, is there anything that you're going to do as a general approach, or are you going to take it individual competitor at a time, sort of thing?
Yeah, I definitely have a game plan. I'm not going to reveal it.
That's fair enough.
Sorry, brother.
No, that's fair enough. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you is obviously your most recent performance you had against Gianni Grippo, big win, and you came in on like a couple of days' notice, I think it was.
Yeah.
How was that sort of jumping in right in the deep end? You know, one of the best guys in the world, literally off no preparation.
Honestly, I'm always in shape because I'm training all the time, but I wish I would have had just a little bit longer to game plan for someone like Gianni, because he's been around, bro. The guy's fought Cabrina, he's fought Rafa Mendez, he's fought literally everyone who's good at 66, and even some great guys at 77. His guard's nasty, but the thing about him is like he's a specialist in his De La Hiva and reverse De La Hiva, the way he switches side to side. So I wish I would have had just I think if I had just a little bit longer just to kind of game plan specifically for what he was doing, I would have had more things to go to. I think I just like stuck too long uh going into the split squad, because it's just, for me, I always feel like I'm safe there. So I should have opened up more. But like going in on short notice is no biggie. The only thing is if someone like a hyper specialist like him, I would have preferred a little bit longer, but it was no biggie, bro. Like it is what it is. Like fight's a fight.
And you talk about him being a specialist. I think yours and like Dante as well, and quite a lot of the guys at Daisy Fresh, to be honest with you, have a much more like well-rounded game than some other competitors. Do you think that's a better way to be as a competitor, to be more well-rounded rather than a sort of narrow specialism?
Yeah. Yeah, this is always going to be better. That when you have a specialization, you can actually win a lot, but like you're never going to be like, I don't think you'll be like number one in the world just because someone who's number one is going to need to be well rounded because to have consistent wins, you don't want to have bad style matchups for yourself. Right. So, like, if I saw like Gianni fight someone like Mateusz Niski or Diago Pato, I think that would be a terrible matchup style just because, like, dude, you're not getting in on their legs and your whole game plan is to use elevations to go on their legs. That'd be bad for you because their their submissions are better. And then the passing style he does on top, he baits you to enter into his legs, which you wouldn't even want against guys like that whose breaking mechanics are so high level, where you're just gonna get your shit snapped quite quickly, even if you have good pressure from that position. So you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the beginning of the question again? I forgot where I was going there, bro.
It's all right. Whether you think it's better to be like a generalist rather
Oh
than a
yeah, yeah,
specialist.
yeah. So that's the thing with a specialist. Like, you can't beat guys who match up bad with you. But if Grippo also had a bunch of good wrestling, and he had good like body lock passing and stuff like this, and loose passing. Okay, well then he could beat those guys as well because his guard is insane, right? With a lot of these guard players, you'll see, dude, they'll be so good on the bottom, and then they like sweep you, and then they won't even come on top, just because they're just like, yeah, I don't do that. So okay, well then you can work around that quite easily, especially in tournament settings with points and stuff. So with the well-rounded game, you're gonna be able to win like at a bunch of different rule sets, more so than just like one or two.
And can I ask then, have you got any sort of like advice or like specific routes that you take to make yourself more well-rounded, like in training?
Yeah, I see a lot of purple belts and blue belts and even brown belts. Try to like basically skip ahead of the line. If that makes sense, and try to. I think they hyper focus too much on the leg locking game, bro. Like truly, I think it's pretty easy to still at this point like destroy lower ranks with leg locks, but you just I think don't even worry like if you're losing matches at these color belts because you decided to round your game off more than just like focus on one thing because what you'll have is these guys they'll win nonstop until brown belt or black belt, especially when they hit black belt. Bro, there's a lot of good black belts out there and they've seen what you have already. So now you only have this one thing you can rely on, and you didn't spend like 3, 4, or 5 years working on passing and wrestling. So I would slowly try to work on everything over time instead of just locking in on one thing and trying. I'm just gonna heel hook everyone. It's like that's not gonna happen, bud. So you kind of want to just be okay with losing at those lower ranks because no one gives a shit. No one remembers any of those matches. There's so many brown belt matches I could pull up between the high level competitors today that I know no one even knew happened. So yeah, just like don't worry too much about the results you're getting at the lower ranks. Like focus on rounding your game off. Like don't just become that guy who just like shoots a triangle every match or shoots single leg X to an ankle lock because it's just too obvious. Like I see that mistake too much. Like it's like brother, they'll watch one DVD and then they'll focus on that. You gotta broaden everything and don't worry if like you're getting beaten in areas. Like you want to slowly get better at everything, not rush one thing.
So did you have that same sort of mindset like really early on when you were training then, or did you have to sort of discover that later?
No, I always had that mindset. I always try to think like very long term, like for real. I know I was slowly leveling all my stats up, and I would just try to close the gaps in little places over time. And I would say that this year, for sure, I've seen the result of that because Honestly, I feel good everywhere. I feel good wrestling and passing and leg locks and sweeps and everything like that. I don't think there's a single position. No, definitely not. Not a single position I'll go to where I'm not feeling good. 100%.
Nice, nice. And when you say that you're always sort of like thinking of the bigger picture and looking forward, then in terms of your career now past CJI, what do you think's next for you? Like, have you got anything in the pipeline yet?
Yeah, so pretty sure we're gonna do that EBI, but then Pans, Worlds, and Trials are my biggest focuses. Uh, Past that, competition wise, I have to see what I'm offered, like because super fights just pop up here and there. So, but then besides the competition, I just want to keep working on my Patreon and try to expand that and use CJI as a way to like kind of advertise it more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I forgot about the EBI event as well that you've got coming up shortly after CJI. With that, can I ask? I know that one's not combat jiu-jitsu, but they do tend to sort of swap in between them. Would you ever look at doing combat jiu-jitsu in the future at all?
I did. I got fucking my cheeks clapped, brother. I ain't doing that shit again. Fuck that shit, bro. God damn, bro. That shit hurts, man. Dude, the bone on, I did MMA, man. Like the gloves don't actually hurt that much, but the bone on bone was like, I was like, what the hell, dude? This shit is rocking me, man. So yeah, I ain't doing that again, bro. Fuck that.
When was that you did that? I don't remember that actually.
That was right after Pans. I went to Mexico. I got fucking smashed, bro. Matt Mash fucking pummeled me, bro. But it is what it is, man. That's what I mean. You don't even remember that match. Let's keep it that way. So
So you've got no desire to go back to combat jiu-jitsu or MMA then, no?
no, bro. No. No, bro. Dude, I had like two black eyes. I was concussed. I was like, this is fucking shit. Barely made any money doing it too, because they can only pay you so much show money. So if you don't win, that's kind of fucked, bud. So unless combat jiu-jitsu is paying fat to show money, I would never do this again just because, bro, it's totally, it's not jiu-jitsu, bro. You're throwing strikes, man. It's not jiu-jitsu. So I'd have to take away, I almost have to take away from my actual skills, like in multiple rule sets, like ADCC, IBJJF, regular sub only, and then EBI if I were to do combat jiu-jitsu, because I'd have to change my game a little bit.
So do you have a favorite rule set then between those ones that you are sort of training for on a regular basis?
I like, also ADCC and sub only matches are good. I like the who's number one rule set a lot. 15 minutes is great. That's a perfect amount of time. And then sub only, and they really push you initiating the action. So I think that's good. I think overall I like that one the most.
Nice, nice. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go through with you today, though, Max. Is there anything that you want to say, or anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any projects you've got coming up, or anything?
Just shout out to Westside Barbell, Perry Athletics, and then check out my Patreon, guys. Got over 100 plus videos. I break down matches and I have techniques, and I answer all your questions. It's way better than a DVD, less than a Big Mac. Check it out. It's on my Instagram bio.
Nice, nice. Well, thanks so much for your time, Max, and take it easy, all right?
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man. Thank you.
Cheers. Take care.